As you guys might already know, I'm a huge believer in the hideout being a main source of money in Escape from Tarkov, and there are two skills that affect how much money you can make and how fast you can make it. The crafting and hideout management skills are incredibly easy to level, but a major grind to max out. So today we'll be highlighting the crafting skill and showing you guys the most efficient and fastest way to level it. Did you guys know that 98% of you that watch my videos are not subscribed? That's insane. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you might as well turn on notifications while you're at it. Just make sure you don't miss out on any future videos. That's all I'm asking. All right, so jumping straight into this video, it seems like 50% of my viewership really loves the hideout related stuff, and the other 50% just think it's a total waste of time. But for me personally, and I say this all the time, the hideout is such an underrated moneymaker in this game that a lot of people sleep on. So with the wipe coming very soon, I want to touch on the crafting skill in this video, and then in the next one we'll talk a little bit about the hideout management, because leveling these as quickly as possible is super important if you want to be ahead of the game. So first up, when we're talking about the crafting skill, what is the crafting skill? The crafting skill obviously pertains to crafting.
Yeah, no shit, Slick. Why don't you tell us something we don't know?
Anyways, crafting is going to be leveled up literally by just crafting things, but there's something very important to note with that. You cannot keep crafting the same items over and over and expect your XP to go up. The key is to rotate crafts. So for example, if you're on the workbench, you can rotate between red pliers and printed circuit boards, and you will always be gaining XP. Another important thing to note is that you get 2.5 points of XP per completion of unique crafts. So that means every time you rotate a craft, you're getting 2.5 XP. And you also earn 1 point of XP for every 8 hours of crafting. So let's say you have an 8-hour play session continuously rotating between 2 crafts on one station. After 8 hours, you'll gain an additional point of XP. Now this is super important because it means you'll want to be doing longer crafts overnight when you're sleeping or at work, whatever. The goal here is to rotate between profitable crafts, but sometimes you may have to take a hit to the ruble count in order to level this skill up fast, but we'll talk more about that later. Now that we've talked about how to level the crafting skill, let's talk about the benefits of leveling it. With each level of the crafting skill, you reduce item crafting by 0.75%, and this continues to stack all the way up to elite level, where you max it out at 38.25%. Basically, this just means the time it takes to craft something goes down every time you go up a level with the crafting skill. So for example, every time I level crafting up, my red pliers craft goes down by about 7 seconds, and every craft is going to be a little bit different because it's percentage based, so just keep that in mind. Just because my red pliers goes down by 7 seconds doesn't mean something else is also going to go down by 7 seconds. Another benefit of leveling the crafting skill is that it reduces all cyclic production time except for Bitcoin farm by 0.75% per level, and this is going to apply to things like moonshine and water filters. And this one also maxes out at 38.25% at the elite level, and of course it continues to stack with each level, just like the item crafting times being reduced by 0.75. And now for the biggest benefit of having the elite crafting skill, and that is going to be the fact that you can craft 2 different items in each zone at a time. Yes, you heard that right, 2 different items in each zone at a time. So by the time you've maxed out the crafting skill, you'll no longer need to rotate crafts, so you can just continuously craft the 2 most profitable items non-stop and make a ton of money, because at that point all your crafts will take 38.25% less time to craft because you're at the elite level. Now if I'm being honest, by the time you've grinded out max crafting, chances are you've already made millions of rubles and have no issues making money at all from your raids. But let me paint a little picture for you. In my personal experience playing this game, one thing that I've realized is that late wipe is very expensive to upkeep. I usually find myself going into raids most of the times with upwards of a 1 million ruble kit or 500k or whatever, and a lot of times I die pretty consistently, and most of the time it's going to be at the beginning of a raid before I've looted anything, stuff like that. The point I'm trying trying to make here is that because of the hideout, I'm able to sustain spending an insane amount of rubles on these kits, and I never have to worry about going broke. I usually find that when I'm late game questing, I don't really spend time looting to make money, and having the hideout running in the background is an amazing way to just keep the rubles flowing. Most of the time when I'm doing things like shooterborn or quests like that involve killing something, I don't really loot things, and that ends up taking a hit if you're doing that consistently 5, 10, 20 raids in a row. You're not really coming out with stuff, you're not really making money, so just having the hideout is awesome. So remember when I said sometimes you may have to take a hit to the ruble count in order to level up the crafting skill fast? What I mean by that is if you want to maximize XP for the crafting skill, sometimes you're gonna have to choose crafts that are more focused towards gaining XP rather than making money, and the best example I can give of that is how I rotate crafts in lavatory. So on the lavatory, I rotate between Cordura and the gas mask filters, and Cordura is my main money maker, being that it only costs around 8k to craft, and at this point in the wipe they sell anywhere between 35 and 45k, so that's a pretty big money maker right there. And the gas mask filters are kind of where I take a hit in profit. Usually the masks needed for the craft cost between 25 and 40k rubles depending on the time of day, you know, if it's the weekend, whatever, and then the filters sell for roughly 25 to 35k, also depending on the time of day. However, the gas mask craft only takes about a minute and 20 seconds to craft for me, so I'm willing to take a small hit on the profit if it means I can rotate the crafts quickly. After doing that craft and a minute and 20 seconds later, I'm able to cash in 2.5 experience points towards my crafting skill, and to me that is totally worth it. Completely unrelated, but for those of you who are interested, whenever I craft all of these gas mask filters, I just use them to craft water filters so I can continue to run the water collector. So I know that's a lot of information, but now that we've gone over everything there is to know about the crafting skill, let's talk about the key takeaways here. Number one, on a fresh wipe, you need to prioritize the hideout. You want to get it up and running as soon as possible, not only for the money making potential, but also to start leveling the crafting skill as soon as possible. Number two, rotate crafts. I know it's tempting to just keep crafting that one item that makes you money over and over again, but trust me, I make that same mistake every single wipe and it costs me later on. Right now I'm sitting at level 39 crafting when I would more than likely be at elite level if I rotated crafts consistently early in the wipe. And if you go back to some of my previous videos talking about the hideout, you'll see where I talk about how I was only crafting sugars or only crafting red pliers, stuff like that. Number three, do long crafts overnight. Before you go to bed, think about how long it's going to be before you log back into play. If you're the type of person that wakes up before work to reset crafts, try to choose crafts that will be done before or right around that time. If you're like me and you need as much sleep as possible before work and absolutely refuse to wake up early for anything, you might want to choose the longest crafts possible. Number four, during a playing session, swap between fast crafts. Me personally, I try to find the balance between the fastest crafts possible and the ones that will make me the most money, because overall the goal is to make rubles. And then number five, the last key point here is going to be stick to the plan. If you guys paid attention and apply everything I've talked about in this video, you will max the crafting skill in no time. Having max crafting early wipe is a surefire way to make millions of rubles throughout the rest of the wipe. And if you're the type of player that plays until max traders and just gives up on the game, give this strategy a shot and maybe it will help you have a goal that keeps you playing the game. So that's basically my guide on the crafting skill and how to level it up as fast as possible. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them down in the comments. Make sure you guys are on the lookout for part 2 of this video where we'll be highlighting the hideout management skill, and I'll be showing you how it's equally as important as the crafting skill. Hopefully this video helps you guys and hopefully you found it useful. If there's something I missed, please be sure to drop it down in the comments so everyone can know. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.